Hello and welcome back to my channel, Amir Khan Project Management Academy. In previous video, we saw that how we can create a new calendar for our project and how we can add different type of resources. And in today's video, we will create a new project step by step. And once we will create a new project, then we will go into the planning phase and we will start the WBS diagram. So let's begin and see how we can create a new project in Primavera P6. So in order to create a new project, we'll go to Enterprise and we will click here on Projects. So this window is already open here. So this basically includes the list of all the projects which are already available in the system. So what we need to do is to click on the Add button on the upper right corner. So that will allow us to create a new project. So the first thing that we will have to do is to select the EPS, which stands for the Enterprise Project Structure. In the previous video, we have already covered that what is the EPS and how to create a new EPS. So in order to select the EPS, we will click here and we will select any EPS. For example, we can select the Artificial Intelligence. So this basically is the category of the project. Then we will click Next and we will specify the project ID. So again, any ID, I'll just give it an ID as AI 101 and the project name, so just call it new AI project. Again, it could be you can go for any type of project like construction, IT, any type of project. So this is the project ID and the project name. Okay. And then I will not click next here. So what you can do, you can just click finish, because all the other details we will enter using these tabs. So we can just click finish here. And as we can see that our project has been added, and at the top we can see the project ID and project name, which means that this project is currently open in the system. So in order to enter the other details about our new project, we can use these different tabs. And for some reason, if these tabs are not available, you can click if you look at different icons here at the top, so you can click here on the details icon, so you will be able to see these tabs. And it is also possible that you are not able to see all of these tabs. So in that case, you can click on this blank area on the tab section. So right click and you can click on customize project details, and you can shift different tabs. You can make them visible or invisible. So these are the different tabs that I have already selected, but again we don't need to work on all of these tabs. So we will see that how many tabs we will be using to enter some more detailed information about our new project. But this is how you can add and remove different tabs onto the main screen. All right, so the first tab we have is the general tab. So here we have the project ID, which we already have entered. We can change from here as well. So we have project ID, project name, and what is the current status of the project, and the responsible manager. So the responsible manager basically is coming from the OBS that we already covered in the previous video as well. So the organizational breakdown structure, so this is like the hierarchy in your management or the hierarchy of the project managers. So again, you can add a new entry in the OBS, you can remove or make any other type of modifications if you click to the OBS screen from the enterprise menu. But what we will do, since we already have added the OBS, so we'll just click on the browse window and we will select any individual or any title as the OBS. So let's go for IT, double click. So this is the responsible manager for this current project. Then other than that, we don't need to change anything else. And after the general, we will go to the next tab, that is the notebook. So this is where you can write some notes or some some information about your project. For example, you can write the technical specifications, anything like the project constraints, or if you have any deadlines that you want to achieve. So, and different type of notes you can write by using this tab. So for example, let's say again we are assuming that we are working on an AI project. So let's say we want to write some information that which AI model we want to use or anything related to that. So what we can do here, so we can click on the notebook topic, click add, and the first thing we will have to do is to select the topic, that what type of notes we want to create. So for example, the type of topic we want to generate is something to do with AI models, but we don't see that topic here in the window. If you don't see the topic, so in that case you will have to first create the topic in the system and then come back to this window. So we will close, and we will go to admin and admin categories. So we have already used this window when we were creating some new unit of measures while we were adding the resources in the previous video, but this time we are going to add the notebook topics. So we click here on notebook topics and click on add, and just give the name. For example, the topic is about AI models. All right, so you just enter the new topic and make sure you check all of these 4 options and close. So we have created a new topic. Now we will write the topic. So click on the add button and select the topic AI models, double click, and again close. And what we will do, that against this topic we will write something. So we click on modify, and we can write anything here. So for example, AI models to use, for example, OpenAI Chat GPT. This is what we will use. And again, you can write anything you want. You can do the formatting, so you can explore all of these options. So click OK. So similarly, you can write any information about the project charter or about the project requirements, technical specifications, so anything. Even you can write down the minutes of meetings. So all of that stuff is also possible. Then we will move on to the next tab, and that is the budget log. So this is where we can enter the initial budget for our project. Later on, of course, the budget may change, but we will see that if the budget gets changed, so how we can enter the change log. But under the budget log, so first of all we will enter the original budget. So let's say the initial budget for our project is 50,000. So we'll press enter, and we can see that the currency is coming automatically, which is Saudi Riyal. So if you are wondering that why we have this currency, why not US dollar or any other currency, so let's repeat, because we already covered that in the previous video as well. So if you want to create a new currency, you will go to admin and then click on currencies. So you will see all of the currencies which are available in your system. And if you want to create a new currency, you just simply click on the add button, and we created the new currency, Saudi Riyal. So we gave the currency ID SAR and the currency name, currency symbol, and the exchange rate against the base currency, which is the US dollar. So for US dollar, the exchange rate for Saudi Riyal is 3.75, and then you can make these adjustments as well. So that is how you can add a new currency. Close. And if you want to use the currency that you have just added, for that you will go to edit and go to the user preferences, and then click on currency and select the currency of your choice that you want to use. So these are all the currencies which are already part of the system that you already have added. So if you want to use the currency, so come to this window and double click on any of the currency that you want to use. So that is how you can display the currency. So we will continue with the Saudi Riyal and close. So the budget log is 50,000. So this is the current budget and the proposed budget as well. Now for some reason, after some time, for example, you want to change the budget. So let's say you want to increase the amount. So for that, you'll come to the budget change log. You click on the add button, and you will see the current date, and then you will enter the amount that you want to change. So for example, we want to increase the budget by 10,000. Press enter. So the status is pending. So we can see that the proposed budget is 60,000 and the current is still 50. So if we change the status to approved, so now we can see that the current budget is 60. And again, similarly, you want to reduce the budget amount. So for that, again, you click on the add, and make sure you first change the status instead of approved. So let's keep it on pending, and then you enter the amount. So for example, 5,000. And now again, because we want to reduce the amount, reduce the budget, so in that case we will enter minus 5,000, and this will automatically come in brackets. So brackets means it is a negative value. So now the proposed is 55,000, and if we change the status from pending to approved, so now we can see that the current budget is 55,000 because the change has been approved. So that is how you can make some changes in your budget. Then we have the spending plan, so we don't need to cover the spending plan, no need for that. You can remove this tab from the main screen. And in the budget summary, this is just a quick view that current budget we have is 55,000, and the current variance is positive 55,000, which means we have the full amount in hand. We have not spent any amount as yet, so we don't need to change anything here as well. Then if we go to the dates, so here we will be just selecting the anticipated start and finish dates. So that is the only important thing here in this tab. So let's say if we click on the start date, the anticipated start date, so let's say that our project is going to start on 1st of April. So we'll select that, and the finish, for example, is 30th of April. So that is the start and finish date, and we can see here in the diagram as well. Other than that, the actual start, actual finish will come automatically, and there is one more date, which is the data date. So that is again very important, especially during the execution of the project. So that data date we will cover in the next part. So under the dates, in order to create a new project, that's the only thing we need to work on. Then we have the funding tab. Again, it's not very important, but it depends if you want to use it or not. So funding means like we need the total budget of 55,000, but we are getting some funds from some like business bank loan or some of the other business partners, so we can specify the funding sources. So if we click here on the add, so if we need to specify the source of the funds, and for example we are looking for bank loan, but we are not able to find the bank loan as the option here. So what we'll do is we will first add this funding source. So for that we will go to enterprise, and we'll find the option of funding sources. So click on funding sources and click on add, and just give it a name, for example bank loan, and press enter. And you can also write the description as well. So this is a category of funding source, bank loan, and we will close this window. Now we come to the main window and click on add, and we can specify what is the source of funds. So we have bank loan, double click, close, and we can specify the amount. So let's say we are taking 20,000 as bank loan, and we can specify the share as well. Then we have codes. So again, we can assign different codes to our project, and the purpose of assigning the code is that if you want to filter out that how many projects are in location A or location B, or if you want to know that how many projects are high priority or low priority, so we can find that easily if we assign those properties or if we assign those codes to our project. So for the codes, we click on assign, and let's assign some codes to our project. In terms of priority, we can say it is a high priority, and in terms of financial rating, let's go for any option here. And in terms of project manager, who is the project manager? So let's say Thomas is the project manager. Okay, who is the project sponsor, and what is the status? So we can see here that all of these values are available. All we have to do is to select one of the appropriate value, so that will be assigned to our project. Okay. All right, now let's say that if you want to create a new value in the project codes, for example we want to create that in this project which AI model we will be using, or let's say we can say that in this project which methodology we are using. Either we are using PMI methodology like the waterfall methodology, or we are using agile, scrum. Okay, so which methodology we are using, so we can create that code as well. So if you want to create a new code, so what we will do, let's close this window and we will go to enterprise, and there we'll find the option of project codes. So we click on project codes, and these are all the codes, and then for each code these are all the values. But we want to create a new code, so for that we'll click on modify, and we will enter a new value here. So we'll click on add, and let's say PM methodology, project management methodology, that which methodology we are using for this particular project. So this is just the code, and then later on in the next step we will enter the values. So PM methodology, and just close. All right, so here we have PM methodology, and then we will enter the values or different options for PM methodology. So for that we will click on the add button. Okay, so click on the add button. So the first one we will say that we'll be using PMI waterfall. Okay, so again any code PMI, for example. Another one, for example, we will be using PMP, which is also a part of PMI, but just to show you how we can have different values. So PMP will be using all the PMP standards for this particular or any particular project. And another value, for example, agile. Okay, all right, and maybe one more value we can enter, like scrum, for example, which is kind of agile. Scrum. Okay, so similarly you can just keep on adding different values under this code. So you can, in order to create a new code, you'll have to click on modify next to this drop down window, and then you can create a new code. And later on, to define different values for any code, you click on the add button. So make sure you select the right code from the drop down list. So that is how you can create new project codes. And now we will close this window, and let's assign some codes. So again, click on assign, and here we have PM methodology. So for this project, let's say we are using agile. All right, so we can just select one value from one code. So we have selected agile, and close. So later on, now for example, if you have, let's say in big organization, you have 50 different projects or 100 different projects, and you just want to know that how many projects are following agile methodology, how many projects are following waterfall methodology. So you can generate a report very easily if you have assigned proper codes to your projects. Then the next tab we have is the defaults. So here we don't need to change anything. Just one thing that we need to be careful about is the calendar, that are we using the appropriate calendar for this project or not. So you can click on the browse, and you can select the calendar of your choice. And if you want to create a new calendar, you can watch the previous video, so you can create a new calendar as well for your project. If we need to change anything, so once we will be working on activities in the planning phase, so we'll come back to this window again, and we will discuss all of these points. And in the resources, nothing to change. Settings, nothing to change. Calculations, nothing to change. We will go with the default settings. Okay, so that is how we can create a new project in the system. And once you have created a new project, once you have added a new project, then in the next video we will be following different phases. Like we will be working in the initiating phase of the project, then we'll be working on the planning phase, which is going to be a very detailed phase, of the project, like the WBS and all of those things. We will see in full detail that how we can create a full-fledged project using the Primavera P6. Alright guys, so in this video, that is all how to create a new project. And in the next video, we will be working on the project charter and some of the initial documents for our project. Alright guys, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, so please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next video.